Ukrainian game studios are standing together in defiance of the Russian invasion. Welcome to another games recap. Hey guys, my name is Brandon Pham, and thank you for tuning in every day at 11 a.m. PST live on YouTube to watch me rant unfiltered, unedited about the biggest game news today that affects game developers. So on to the news. Hours after the Russian military forces began their assault in Ukraine, studios from across the country sent out messages of defiance on social media and called on their industry counterparts to send aid. Stalker developer GSC Game World asked for support across the industry to help with armed forces of Ukraine by sending money to a special aid account. As of today, Russian Federation has officially declared war on Ukraine. Our country woke up with the sounds of explosion, weapons fire, but is ready to defend its freedom and independence. For it remains strong and steady and ready for anything, said the studio in a statement. The future is unknown, but we hope for the best, are ever sure of our armed forces and our belief in Ukraine. We thus address all of our colleagues in the game industry. Players, bloggers, or anybody else who sees this post in their newsfeed, shares this. Do not stand aside and help those in need. In addition, the sinking city developer Frogwares, also based in Ukraine, is calling for people around the world to help. So there's thousands of developers in Ukraine, obviously. Game developers and millions more that are not game developers that are in dire need right now. So there's a whole industry that is kind of standing behind, obviously, against the Russian invasion. Over the years on the podcast, we've had a lot of Eastern European developers on, and I had the great opportunity to talk to them about their hardships already. And it is a booming industry over there. It is still hard to kind of get into. There's not a lot of resources, but for the game developers that have made it in recent years, not just in Ukraine, but in that region, we see like great game studios like CD Projekt and others that have been able to kind of come from through these hardships, and in this case facing more to kind of stand up for themselves and continue to push through what they want to do. I mean, these are people just you and I, trying to kind of get by and do what they need, but it is should be no surprise that this is not where it's going to stop. Ukraine is probably one of the first countries that Russia's kind of getting through, and soon enough, all these neighboring countries are going to be affected, right? That's the running theory. However, there's a lot of these game companies in that area, including Riot. Riot Games is suspending their Valorant Champions Tour tournament in response to this. That involves teams like Ukraine and in Russia. Senji Games, maker of the Serpent Rogue, also said it would not be able to answer queries because of the war. CEO of the 20-person Beat Shapers studio in Kyiv, Alexei Menshikov, said his team was always in the midst of being evacuated. So we're already seeing situations where a lot of these CEOs and counterparts in Ubisoft and as well as other big companies that we are fully aware of, like Wargaming, are making moves to kind of get these people out of there as much as possible, to kind of protect their employees, but to give people a chance. This was kind of unprovoked. Russia kind of going in there trying to take whatever that's not theirs, and everybody's kind of reacting to this. This just happened last week. So this past weekend, there's an outpour of love and support, and donations are being set up all across online to kind of help anybody who wants to help. You can find the resources in the link in the description in this episode. There's companies like Save the Children is providing humanitarian aid for children in Ukraine. Project Hope is sending medical supplies. CD Projekt Red, based in Poland, also voices support for its neighboring country. Bungie is giving all its proceeds for the first 48 hours of its game to give donation drive to humanitarian aid efforts in response to the war. 4A Games, maker of the Metro series that moved from Ukraine to Malta, said we're neither politicians nor superheroes. or game developers. Our large family includes people from all over the world, and all of us want just one thing: for the horrors of war not to ever break out of imaginary worlds. Polish developer Rita Wing said will also donate the proceeds of its game Slipways to the Help Ukrainian Fund of the Polish Red Cross until the 3rd of March. So these are really tough situations to kind of look at, and the only way that we can show support is really interact with these developers, knowing that the world is behind them as best as we can. So if you guys have the time, have the ability, have the heart to reach out to any of these proceeds to give them the support and love that they really need right now, I highly encourage you guys to do the same and reach out, try to help. This is something that can happen to us depending on what's going on in the outcome of this. Right? Everyone's really watching what Russia's next steps are. Because if you really think this is going to stop and only start within the borders of Ukraine, you guys really are going to be very surprised. It's a scary time. I think in this generation, at least in my age group, this is something quite new that is so blatant from such a huge country like Russia to do. So everyone's kind of trying to project what likely scenarios will happen. But this is a game dev podcast, game dev show, so I can only, at best, give you a perspective of what's going on with a lot of the game companies. Like I said before, thousands of game developers are located in Ukraine, reacting to this. And though we're in different locations, just imagine one day waking up and then there was a war, right? Which is exactly what happened. So, as always, give me your thoughts. It is today's games recap. Any discussion, see you guys in Discord. If there's any extra information that I didn't cover, please let me know, and I'll make sure to include it in the link in the description below. As always, have a good one, guys.